And so I think we already, when we started today, we already began with a bit of a discussion on how hot is ESG now actually, and actually are we willing to spend time and money on it? So here's the question, right? So we can either go to lunch, or we can talk about ESG. No, of course, I'm kidding, right? But I do want to really emphasize it's a really important topic, I think, to discuss. So I'm really glad we've got the one and only Menno van Leeuwen here to guide us through the process here and help us understand better how to deal with ESG topics.
Yeah, you have a veggie lunch ready for us, I assume?
Of course, all locally produced, recycled actually, right? So it's straight from the toilets, back up to the table. So no harm done to the environment. No.
That's a little bit greenwashing. Be careful. Yeah. No, so you might get penalized on that.
But it's a really important topic. So Menno, I wish you much luck with your panel, who you'll probably introduce. And thank you for joining us here.
Yeah,
Let's give you a big hand already.
Thank you. Let's talk and walk about sustainability. Let me take you back 10 years in time. I was standing on a stage. At that time, I was working for ABN AMRO, and I was pitching. And I was pitching a topic about technology startups entering our market, wanting to disrupt us. And I was pitching in front of an audience of senior, middle-aged bankers. And I was telling, well, this is where we can learn from. Maybe we can collaborate. And at that time, their response was, well, not so enthusiastic. But if you take back now in time and see what happened in 10 years in time, it's been amazing, right, Don? We met each other in this fintech wave. And now, today, I'm pitching a next wave which is coming. And that is sustainability. And sustainability also as opportunity era for banks, financial companies, and fintechs specifically. I'm Menno van Leeuwen. I will be presenting, moderating today the sustainability and ESG panels. I will give an introduction to this topic. I saw in the first polling that 20% of you are involved in ESG. So let me take some time to introduce this topic. And then I will be introducing three powerful ladies who will each deep dive into a specific element of ESG and share their experience and practical examples. Of course, it's about getting interaction. So we have arranged this after this session and after the lunch. We have a breakout and breakout number 2. And the four of us will be available there for an intense Q&A. So please take your questions and join us later on. But first, the introduction to this topic. Well, if you talk about sustainability, I've experienced you have to make it personal. Otherwise, people will keep on guessing, but why is he into sustainability? What's behind it? What's his motive? What's his footprint? So let me give you a little bit of a wrap-up how I ended up from being a banker in the financial industry to doing lots of my work in sustainability. Well, it started actually, I was quite entrepreneurial with the bank, so then you end up in an innovation department, and I learned how to innovate successfully there. And the one thing that I took into account, it's about really, really understanding the problem you are trying to solve. And if I look back, all the innovations I was part of had most of the times a sustainability topic as a big problem to solve. And I got the opportunity, after my innovation period, to make a new product, a banking platform in the retail market, mobile only. The trigger was we see these challenger banks coming up, we should do this as well. But together with our team, we really invested deeply in understanding the customer needs. Nobody was waiting for yet another bank account, right? So from customer testing, from prototype testing, MVP testing, live testing, we found out that a lot of people, they were just not secure about their finances. They were uncomfortable. How do I manage my money? Will I get it? Will I get through this month? And actually, when you got into deeper talks, they were stressed. And of course, we know there are customer groups who are very vulnerable, are getting into debt problems. but we saw it at a very broader group, of financial stress. Lots of these young professionals who are in the metaverse of media monks, they spend money easily and they don't have this overview over their finances. So this brought me on the social impact topic of financial stress, financial well-being. I tried to learn lots of this, joined network groups, partnerships, and also internally in ABN AMRO, this was a topic. And at that time, I think it's 5 years ago, ABN AMRO put sustainability central in their strategy. And that was about social impact, that was about the climate and the energy change, and it was about the circular economy. So I became part of a bigger challenge, is how to deal with sustainability. And I think it's a good thing. So one of the advices is to put sustainability, if you're serious about it, not aside, but make it part of your strategy. The hard part about that, like ABN AMRO experienced, when it was so strong, focused in their strategy, it's also about, well, what are you doing? What are your proof points? And many service companies, for instance, if you take a look at their own footprint, it's just really like limited. Maybe it's 1% of the footprint you have in the entire value chain. So getting back to a bank, to do something on sustainability, it's all about how do you engage with your clients. They have to take steps. They have to invest in sustainable projects and not become the laggards. So together with the team, I got the opportunity to set up a program to help entrepreneurs. We focused on mid-sized companies to take steps into sustainability. So focus on a specific problem, topic, and then we searched the market for innovations, which solutions are already there to solve your sustainability challenge. And we facilitated pilots so we could really prove the value. Well, this program was called Impact Nation. I spent 2 years, the past 2 years on this, and engaged with over 15 companies with each a specific challenge and each a specific innovation to find for them. And at that time I thought, hey, this is something I want to do the rest of my life, helping companies to accelerate on sustainability by connecting to innovation. So I went as an entrepreneur, started my own business, but also deep dived into education because I was curious what is like the best way for a company to take these steps. It's like innovation we learned in practice. How is this with sustainability? So I did a course, got connected to great professors, to experienced former CEOs of Paul Polman of Unilever, Fijke Siebesma of DSM, and they explained what they did and what they think is very important. And they got back to this, you have to really understand the problem. You really have to spend time, so even if you're CEO, on understanding the problem, speaking to innovation companies in your industry, if to discover if there are solutions. This is what they directed. And they also said it's about not one silver bullet, it's about like a big chessboard you have, and all actors have to chip in. So you need to be playing on that chessboard with multiple pieces to change the game. Well, this is what I'm trying to do in practice. So I'm advising several kinds of companies. I'm working for Holland Fintech for these events. I'm coaching sustainability startups for Startup Bootcamp. I've advised a cleaning company. I've advised an ICT company. And now I'm working for Nationale Nederlanden on their sustainability strategy and to put that into practice, to accelerate. And that is, of course, very good, meaningful for me to do. That's why I do it. I like it, to do something good. But it's also like I've entered a new space because 2 things I want to give to you. It is about this sense of urgency. So if you spend time on sustainability each day, you read all these articles, sometimes conflicting, you get like a little bit depressed. Because yes, indeed, I'm afraid it is so. Our planet is finite, and we all have this infinite desires. And the examples of where it goes wrong we can see around us, right? So last summer, about the heats and the droughts and the fires, it's just taking place. And the most scary thing that I learned is not only like what's going on now, but if you take a look at all the calculations, what is going wrong, we're entering to several tipping points. So if you're a climate risk analyst, you are calculating on these tipping points where things go worse from here. I have an example. But what it also gave me is also this insight. We always talk about sustainability it's for the future generation to come, and the future generation, Gen Z, they are also aware of sustainability, so that's good news. But it's also about, well, if you analyze what has happened, why there's so much greenhouse now in the air and pollution, it is because of what happened in my lifetime. So about 3/4 of all the damage done has occurred in my lifetime. And this is something Marianne Minnesma, for instance, taught to our Prime Minister. It happened in your lifetime, all these greenhouse gases. So if you break it, you own it. Businesses need to take responsibility, not only government. So just to give you a little bit that stomach pain, just some examples of these tipping points. So everybody is talking about the global warming. We want to contain it to preferably maximum 1.5 degrees higher than before the industrial age. Because scientists made various scenarios calculations, then we can keep things not getting out of hand. And then you get forecasts that maybe will become 2 degrees, or even worse, 3 or 4 degrees higher. What does that mean, right? It's like abstract. So just a few examples. If we don't contain it to 1.5 degrees, but it will become 2, then we'll be having serious problems, and the tipping point will reach of permafrost. So the ice which is under the land in the tundras, it is very important. I did not know this before I went into sustainability, but they are not only melting, so you have water rise if they melt. No, they are capturing a lot of methanes, so the greenhouse gases. So if this melting process takes place faster, we're having serious problems, because then the storage capacity also decreases. So 38% extra permafrost loss, just if we keep it to 0.5% extra, so the 2%. Also on heat waves, it will be more than doubled, and also crops if in your agriculture. Well, I can go on and on and on of these kind of worrying examples. And even all the examples we saw being not in Europe, it will come close to us. So the picture you see is about Pakistan, the floods. Well, it's in the distance. There are claims it has to do with the climate change. Scientists yesterday already presented to deliver scientific-based proofs. Yes, it is because of the climate change. And the footprint of Pakistan is quite small. The footprint created these weather effects is created in the Western world. So we will have to help them now. We'll have to put money in. So everything is getting close to us. So who now feels a little bit more depressed than in the beginning? Raise your hand. I'm sorry. More than the half. I will flip it for you, because I'm also a very optimistic guy. And there is so much innovation power already available. So I saw this in all these Impact Nation challenges, but also now in my work with NN. I showed you a picture. It was of the campus in Delft, where they literally already are having live the solution to collect the heat in the summer, to store it, and to use it in winter. That's like the biggest help we can get here in the Netherlands. Only it's a little big machine, so it has to become more scalable. So it's not affordable yet for everyone, but the technology is already there. Well, you will see tens, hundreds of these kind of solutions. Do visit We Will Change Climate Change. You can Google it, and you will see all these examples. So the biggest point there are so many people working on sustainability challenges now. So if you have so many people, smart people, you have some investments, great things can happen. And if you read this book, maybe for Constantine, it's a nice one also. And you read about what happened in the second industrial time frame, where all the big innovations were happened on the energy, on the way we build, on all the household goods we now have. It just happened in 25 years. So in 25 years, a lot can happen, but we need this really risk-taking attitude, the urgency, and to inspire each other. And then my call to fintech. All of these innovations, they're like make do. We call in the Netherlands houtje touwtje. It's not really connected to each other from a data perspective, a digital perspective. The financing part is not really integrated yet. We need the scalability. We need the inclusiveness to be repaired. All challenges, I think, the fintech industry can really help. And for that, we are introducing today sustainability to you. We will present some opportunity areas where we see value, but I do recognize that it is just like one big container, right? Lots of words, lots of regulation, and just little action. So be aware of that. On behalf of time, I will just skip a little bit through it, but you really need to really see a little bit through all this, well, containers like sustainability. I've explained a little bit what transitions are in that. But you also have sustainable development goals set by the UN. A lot of companies have used this framework centrally in their strategy, so you can learn from them what they are focusing on. But for companies specifically, you also now have ESG. So we will be talking more about ESG during this session and panels. And that is something that started from a company perspective, for companies to use a framework to see how are you doing on the environmental, on the social, and on the governance side. And the good news is there are a lot of commitments already being made. So it's not, of course, everything is uncertain what will happen. It's like the metaverse we saw earlier, yet already the stakes have been put in the ground. So the big commitments between business leaders, government leaders have been made to go in this direction. And also in the financial industry, this means, for instance, with the EU taxonomy, maybe Wendy, you will address this also in your part. It will become like a play group. I don't know why they called it taxonomy, because it's another complex word. But it's like, right, a rule book, just a rule book. When is something sustainable, an activity, or not? So there will be rules presented in there. And it will be the big anti-greenwashing. So that will be interesting to also look into the next coming years. How can you help companies and prevent this greenwashing? On the reporting side, lots will be done. And you will see lots of companies, because of this reporting needs for all companies as of 250 employees, it will be about not only publishing your own footprint, so your own operations footprint, but you have to take care of the whole value chain. And this is where the opportunity area of sustainability will become very big, because it will move value chains. And for now, I would like to go to the second part of this presentation and introduce the 3 letters of ESG to you. And for this, I have asked 3 powerful women I know in my network to highlight each one of them, one of these letters, and zoom into a certain challenge we see. And I would like to start with Wendy. Wendy from PwC. And of course, I would say the accounting part is your part. Please talk us through compliance. But what I liked about our talk is that you said, yeah, it is compliance side, but I also see the business opportunity side. And it also drills down to, well, who am I? Who are we as PwC? What's our purpose? So please share your story to the crowd. Yeah.
Thank you, Menno. Thank you. And maybe a disappointment, but I'm not actually an accountant. I'm a sociologist by background. My name is Wendy van Tol. I work for PwC in the advisory business, and I am responsible for what we call ESG. Now, let me demystify this land of ESG a little bit for you, because there is so much behind it. Who of you would believe when you hear the term ESG, the acronym, this is a reporting framework? None of you? Who believes this is a transformation framework? Yeah, good, good, thank you. Then we're already at the right start of this presentation, because I strongly believe this is much more a transformation framework. It is the business language for sustainability. It is the business language for the E, how do we take care of the environment? It's the business language of the S, how do we take care of our ecosystem? Who is dependent on us as a business, and who are we dependent on for terms of welfare, well-being, and care? And in terms of governance, how are we as a business playing a role in stopping greenwashing, stopping corruption, stopping fraud, and making sure that we have ethical behavior in our whole ecosystem of our operations? So there is so much behind ESG, and like Menno said, it's really a thinking framework for you as a business to see not only where you have to be compliant, because yes, there is a lot of reporting coming at you, any businesses that you're in. In the Netherlands only, the current scope of businesses that are being able to comply to the rules of ESG is just 250. If you look at the size, the amount of employees that you employ, the industry that you're in, and financial service, of course, is in there. But if you look at the law that is coming up and the regulation that is coming up, actually, within 1.5 years, 3,500 businesses just in the Netherlands will have to comply with this regulation. So yes, there is regulation behind this. Now, as PwC, we're of course also very much part of this whole ecosystem. We are operating in 150 countries. We employ 300,000 people around the world. So we need to practice what we preach. So yes, we feel that sustainability is a business opportunity, and we have committed to things like net zero in 2030. We want to go to fully renewable energies. We want to reduce the amount of flying around the world with all of our accountants and consultants. We are able to upskill. We've upskilled about 18 million people to reduce inequality in terms of digital upskilling. Our app we've made available. So there's things that we do. But also personally, I'm really committed to this. 7 years ago, I was asked by our global board to come and help transform PwC. Well, it's an easy question, but actually, it's a very hard transformation. So I worked for our global board for about a year to really set out what our roadmap is for becoming purpose-led and values-driven. The word ESG wasn't even out there yet. I've done that as a project, worked with all of these territories to create this roadmap towards things like net zero, renewable energies, but also in the products and services that we employ to our clients, that we deploy to our clients. How can we be more sustainable? Now, after a year running that project, I was asked to come back to the Netherlands and actually take part of the advisory board and lead our consulting practice. Now, I can tell you this was even harder, because as when you're in the C-suite and you have to make these decisions every day, whether we go and see that client overseas because that client really wants to see us, or whether we challenge that client to do things online or do things differently. Now, that are trade-offs that we have to make every day. So personally, very committed to this. Now, let me give you two perspectives on ESG. One is the compliance perspective, because I strongly feel there is a huge opportunity for fintech to help out in what is coming in terms of regulation the coming years. But there's also a huge opportunity for fintech to tap into the possibilities of growth around sustainability and ESG. So let me give you these two perspectives, next 5 minutes. Regulation. There's already a lot of regulation that is hitting financial institutions in the Netherlands, and that regulation is really focused on 3 topics. First of all, it is about redirecting capital into more sustainable financial systems. Secondly, it's all around including ESG in your risk management. Are you aware of the climate risk that is hitting you as a company? Or are you aware of how your footprint actually is manifesting in the world? And last but not least, it's all around promoting more transparency and sustainability in how you operate as a company. And then for financial institutions, there is not only, of course, pressure by the regulators on ESG. There's also pressure by society, by your customers, by your suppliers, by everyone in your ecosystem that is demanding a more sustainable footprint going forward. Now, the banking system is, of course, itself needs to work on its footprint, but also it is probably the field that finances most of the carbon-intensive industries. So it's not only about your own footprint, but it's about the footprint of your whole ecosystem, your lending portfolio, your investments, and how you actually make them more sustainable. Now for fintech, in terms of compliance, your opportunities. The data that you need to get, the data aggregation, how you get it, how you store it, how you source it, how you analyze it, is an extremely complicated task. The disclosures that will be required by regulation in the financial sector are immense. So if you're into data management and providing technology platforms that can help better data aggregation, data sourcing, or data management in the field of sustainability, this is an opportunity for you. Because sourcing that data from your lending portfolio or your investment portfolio in terms of, for example, carbon footprint, now that you can imagine is a very complicated data exercise. So if you're in fintech, you can tap into this world. Now there is also a massive knowledge gap. And there is a massive capability gap. So if you now can upskill yourself on what is going to hit the market in terms of regulation, then you can help your clients, your customers, and you can tap into that ecosystem of creating value just from a data, technology, reporting, and knowledge area. And now, like Menno said, there's also a lot of hope in this story. It's not only to scare you. As of today, my colleague Peter, who is also in the room, published a research. It's a research that we actually do every year. It's looking at how fintechs are cooperating with the financial system and for what reason they are cooperating. Now, the past years, as you can imagine, this was mainly digital transformation. It was all around the actual technology solutions for customers. What we found out and what we were happily surprised with is that actually this year 55% of the partnerships between the banking system and fintechs is ESG driven. So if you're not in the area yet of ESG, you are probably missing out on a business opportunity as a fintech. And as I just said, what are the areas that you can then tap into? It is improving product offering. So it's not only helping that data sourcing, technology regulation, but it's the area that Menno touched on. It's also around what type of products does the financial sector deliver to their customers? And how can you almost sustainalize those products in maybe incentivizing sustainable behavior in your lending opportunities, maybe in your investment portfolio, maybe in, and we see a lot of good examples already happening for banking and insurance companies that are offering their customer more sustainable options or helping them to make sustainable choices. And for this, it is important to understand customer behavior so you can nudge them into more sustainable choices. Now, we have seen sustainability going really from kind of how do we do no harm, from compliance into this business opportunity of creating value. So I actually think ESG is not a reporting framework, and luckily half of the room also thought the same. It's a transformation framework, but actually it is more of a value creation framework going into the future. Now let me round up, because we only have a short. I think there are 4 areas where fintechs can really work with the financial sector to drive value. One is more trust. The whole regulation is all around creating transparency and more sustainability in that system, so investors can make the right decisions, customers can make the right decisions. So if you can help the sector to become more trustworthy and transparent through your data solutions, through your technology solutions, then I think there is a business opportunity for you out there. Secondly, more growth. As I just mentioned, there is a whole set of examples of more sustainable products, whether it's lending, whether it's mortgage, whether it's the way you nudge your consumers. One short example, and I'm happy that Bas is still here, bol.com. If you order a product, you get this range of products you may also like. Maybe as a suggestion, if you can then nudge your customers into, if you're considering these options, please note that this is a more sustainable option. Then if I have the choice and the product is alike, I would personally choose the sustainable option. So this is just a suggestion. So if you can help your ecosystem, help nudge the customers in making better decisions, then I think together we can make a difference. Lower the risk, of course. There is lots of risk in how you model this data. This is a massive opportunity for you to help on. And last but not least, lower the costs. The regulations that will come is unfortunately also costing a lot of time and effort, capability building. If you can share that load, if you can help your customers reduce that cost, then I think, again, this is a fantastic business opportunity. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Wendy. So I switch now to my moderating role. Please have a seat, and you can pass the microphone on to Patricia. So you covered mainly, focused on the G. You covered it already a little bit broader. But putting the opportunities for fintech on a plate, thank you very much. And also addressing, here's your controller, also addressing customer behavior, how difficult it is to change. And on this specific topic, I've asked Patricia. She's heading the ESG office of the NN Bank, but also responsible for a sustainable proposition in mortgages herself. So I think you can make it very concrete how you experience customer behavior, Patricia. Yeah. Take it away.
Thank you, Menno. And I believe everyone's craving for lunch, so I try to keep it crisp today. Here are a lot of enthusiastic people over there. I guess that's about the buffet, but let's see. So my name is Patricia Plas, and why am I involved in this topic at all? Out of many choices we can make, why did I choose ESG and sustainability as a topic? It's a huge challenge at hand, and for me the click came a couple of years ago when I went on holiday in the mountains, in the Alps, and you actually see the glaciers melting in front of your eyes. You also see really the differences between the years and how it accelerated the last couple of 20 years, the whole melting of the glaciers. So that's when I raised my hand within NN and said, we need to do something more about ESG. And then, for those who are not familiar with NN, because it's a very typical Dutch company, it's one of the largest insurance companies of the Netherlands. And within NN, we have NN Bank as well. And for NN Bank, mortgages is one of the main assets that we provide. Hence, it was very logical for us to focus on, okay, what can we do with those mortgages? And instead of doing this from the larger NN organization, we decided within NN, let's try to be more innovative, and let's try to do this via a corporate startup, being Wonu. It helps. It's a small team that we're at from a Wonu. We're only 8 to 9 people. It helps with shorter lines. It helps with making more bold moves and decisions, and it helps accelerating decision making. So, very much fun. I always say I'm living now on my own tropical island as Wonu. I can decide a lot. I have the help, financial help, but also knowledge help of a large NN organization. But that's how we try to accelerate this topic. My personal belief is also we need to take this step by step. every challenge, every asset relating to sustainability needs its own tailor-made solutions. And that's also why I will try to focus only on residential mortgages in the upcoming minutes. Obviously, I have a large ESG role within NN Bank, so if there's any more topics you would like to address during lunch break or during the workshop, let me know. But this is all about mortgages. And something a lot of us can relate to, because how nice is it to live in a home that we all can afford and also feels very comfortable. And that's when we started Woonu. Oh, sorry, wrong button. Okay, which button do I need to use? Oh, that's one. Okay, it's fine. That doesn't seem to work. Yeah, try. Oh, this one. Oh, that one. Oh, even bigger. Oh, look. I'm working at a bank, obviously, not at a tech company. As Woonu, we were the first originators to fully established for green mortgages. We're 100% subsidiary of NN Bank, have our own license with the regulators, and we aim to serve 3 core groups. We have investors on the one hand who are looking for opportunities for more green investments. We are trying to help the intermediary. Our mortgages are being sold via the intermediary. And we have a consumer who we would like to help with achieving a sustainable home and unburden him or her in the process. What we analyzed within the whole market of mortgages is that the Dutch consumer faces numerous challenges on how to convert his own home into a more sustainable home, but also where to finance, what to finance, and how do those things relate to each other, and how do those interact with each other. So what Woonu aims is to provide the whole package. So we help you on the one hand on assessing what needs to be done for your specific home to be energy efficient, and on the other hand we help you with how to finance that and try to combine that and to ensure that the dream and the goals are being met. So if you look at Woonu, so what have we done? How are we doing this? We have, first of all, if you go to our website, woonu.nl, you'll find a tool where you can at least have a high-level overview of what specific needs can be for your own home. If we're interested in doing so, we visit your home at last. We, our partner Sustain, who's very much knowledgeable on energy measures, and we try to come up with a advice where we say, okay, this is what you need as a maximum investment amount in order to achieve an energy label A from your home. I don't know if anyone of you is familiar with the energy labels system that we use. So you have energy label G, that's the worst. So you don't have an energy efficient home at all. And you have energy neutral on the one hand, on the other side, which is, as it says, energy neutral home. And why is it important for us to focus at least on energy label A? If you look at the challenge we have, we need to be net zero in 2050. And that means that as of 2030, our average home should be at least energy label A+. And there's a different, more differentiator within the A labels as well. And that's why we focus on achieving energy label A. And what we do, we bring out this advice. We say this is the maximum amount you need to pay. And we ensure you achieve that energy label. While achieving that energy label, you save on your energy costs. You had a comfortable home. You have an increase of your home compared to other similar homes that have not went through sustainability conversion. So win-win for everyone, and not the least safe for the climate, because your CO2 reduction will significantly decrease once you've transitioned towards your A label. So how does it work? And it's just high level. After accepting the mortgage and sustainability conversion offer, we unburden you fully in the process. So we have money reserved for you to enable you to go through that conversion. And we ensure via our partner Sustain that we execute the conversion. So you don't need to do anything except ensure when you're at home, when Sustain comes by, when they try to install solar panels, your heat pump, etc., etc. And what we try to do is also financially incentivize the consumer for this. So once you receive the lower energy label of your home, we immediately provide you a discount for your whole loan for the remaining tenor of your loan as a reward for making your home more energy efficient. The challenge with all this, and that's also something is a question for help towards the fintech, is this is all very manual. So we have to visit your home, we have to do an inventory of your home, what needs to be done to make it more energy efficient. In order to meet our targets, in order to kind of save the planet, we need to make this more scalable. And that's the question we have from a mortgage lender perspective, how to make this scalable, because every home is different, every home is unique. How do we ensure that we all accelerate into our transformation into energy neutral homes? Obviously, we will need data, but we also need the more bold moves looking at initiatives. So if you have any ideas on that, how we can accelerate and make it more scalable, because it works. We found out it really works, this whole model, but it's very manual, as I said, and less scalable. So if you have any ideas, please, let's talk further on the workshop that we have this afternoon. Very curious to hear.
Thank you very much, Patricia, for this very concrete example and open invitation for the fintech companies. So if you have this solution, join us at 1 o'clock after the lunch. We'll be in breakout number 2. If you please take a seat on, the E, the S, the G. And a big applause for your contribution. And finally, final speaker, and finally we can talk about social equality and financial inclusion. The S. And for this topic, thank you very much. The green button. For this topic, I've asked Chantal to elaborate on this. And actually, when I was spinning out of ABN AMRO, you were spinning in. But we met each other on this social impact topic, and I'm looking forward on your contribution, because you're not only doing this within the bank, so within your corporate, but also on a bigger scale. So please share that with the audience, Chantal.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, you can.
So I realize I'm between you and lunch, so I'll try and keep this quick. My name is Chantal, so I've been with ABN AMRO for a year and a half. And before that, I was with the Dutch Development Bank. And that's actually where I found the inspiration for the work I do today. So I visited many emerging markets and talking to banks as their role as an agent of change. And I ran many programs in Ghana and other places where we put together bankers and female entrepreneurs and really try to connect their worlds. And it was super interesting because there was so much unconscious bias going on between them, assumptions that they needed cheap loans, while actually in the picture here you see Gladys in the dress on the left, and she ran a car battery shop in the dirty streets of Accra. And she didn't need a cheap loan from her banker, Matilda, in the orange shirt. She needed a role model. She needed personal financial advice and a bookkeeping program. So this really started me to think about the situation in the Netherlands. And I didn't hear anything about the banks working on specific programs for female entrepreneurs, or thinking as female clients might have different client needs. So why is this necessary that we invest in women? Because actually the situation is pretty disturbing, and there's a lot of international research on this. We have a huge financial gender gap in this world. So there are many statistics, I just chose 3. But when we all go into retirement, women have 30% less money. 70% of female-owned SMEs struggle to find financing. And here in the Netherlands, actually 52% of women is not financially independent, which is minimum wage, versus 33% of men. So within all these statistics, there's constantly a gender gap. So why is this the case? Well, in my thinking, and I'm interested in yours, is that there has been a lot of unconscious bias. The financial system has been set up by men and for men. But if you look at it from the other side, if we would be able to close this financial gender gap in the financial system, then actually the world would be in a much better place. And it's also a right to financial inclusion, to build a better life, and it provides you strength and perspective to be financially independent. So I realized that the spectrum of inclusion is, of course, much broader than gender, but you know, I started at ABN AMRO a year and a half ago, and I agreed with the board that we would first focus on women and looking into their client needs. And why is this interesting, especially for, who of you is working at a fintech? Okay, a couple. So you're much faster than the banks, and there's money on the table lying around, so pay attention. Good that you didn't go to lunch yet. So the benefits of this is really on the right side of this slide. So women are loyal, and this is not me just making this up. This is international research from McKinsey, BCG, Oliver Wyman. As you know, they control the household spending. They're interested in impact investing. They are great savers and prudent borrowers. But it's also, I think, a wise thing for a bank to work on this from a kind of a societal responsibility, yes, but also because of this business case. They will be able to attract more female clients, more satisfied clients, which is important because the NPS scores of banks are dramatic. Now, when I started at ABN AMRO, I thought it would be a good idea to first make the problem transparent. And there is all this international research, but not so much Dutch research. So we surveyed 5 focus groups of men and women, and we asked them questions about the barriers they experience towards banking and finance, and compared the differences. And I'll show you briefly in a minute the differences we found for female entrepreneurs. And now we are in the phase of trying to implement the recommendations and the solutions that we came up with in the report that we actually published. And it's online, it's available. If you Google this, then you'll find it. Or if you want it, just let me know, then I'll send it to you. And currently we're developing and implementing these improved propositions to counter the barriers that we found. So we looked at the life stages of these women, and for female entrepreneurs, the life stages of their enterprise, of course. So from the intention to the startup to the sustain and the scale phase. And it's actually where the most problems we found was more towards the consolidation and the scale phase. So apparently women have much more difficulty growing their business than men do. Now, why is that? So there is, at the bottom, we identified a couple of barriers. So first of all, I think there's a lack of financial awareness and education around financing and which type of financing fits the maturity of your enterprise. Also finding the right investors for the phase you're in. But what we also found, like in Ghana, is that here in the Netherlands, there's a lack of role models and sponsors and mentors and suitable networking events, which really tailor to the needs of these women entrepreneurs. Now, we also looked at a group of young professionals, and I thought this might also be interesting for you. So my hypothesis was, okay, people between 18 and 35 with a bachelor's degree, that was the criteria of the group. I thought we wouldn't find a lot of differences in this group. This was really not true. So I was surprised to see that the question of, do you feel responsible for the household finances at home? 80% of men said yes, and 56% of the women said yes. So apparently in the Netherlands there is this cultural gender inequality thing going on still, with all this part-time working and cultural norms, perhaps, which imply that there is this gender gap at a young age, which is worrisome, because if it is at a young age, then how will we solve this over time? So the barriers we find here was also around lack of financial experience and education, unclear banking processes and documents, and lack of support or easily available advice. Now, of course, we also did qualitative research, a lot of interviews, and what kept coming back was that women don't feel seen or heard in the conversations and feel excluded in a mortgage conversation, their husband and the advisor kind of coming to an agreement. So a lot of complaints about this, but also a big mistrust between customers and the bank. And also, I think, a clear need around more inclusive communication and marketing and diverse pictures on websites, you know, so that people recognize themselves. So we came up with a couple of solutions which we're currently trying to implement. And to my mind, it starts with self-reflection of me and my colleagues to overcome this unconscious bias, to think about always inviting the female client to the conversation as well, and not just talking to her husband, but really to develop a more inclusive advisory style. Measuring data, I heard a lot about that this morning, but when I arrived at ABN AMRO, no one knew actually how many women had investment accounts versus men. So it starts, of course, with measuring this, and we have now developed a data dashboard, which is a good starting point for any fintech who would be thinking about this. The communication we talked about, and the ecosystem is perhaps something I'd like to mention. So I'm a strong believer of collaboration and trying to find the right stakeholders around the table, banks, fintechs, but also government and networking organizations, to really accelerate the change necessary and to reach these female clients in a much more inclusive and accessible manner. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. A big hand for Chantal. Please have a seat. Maybe it is just very short because we are at the fringe of lunch, right, Don? Yeah, but take a look at these powerful ladies representing the E, the S, and the G. It's actually G, well, whatever. You heard from their stories. Yeah, exactly. You heard from their stories. They have a broader experience and a broader view also how to take concrete steps and an invitation to do this together. So I would ask you, if you are triggered by these stories of the four of us, to join us after lunch in the break room number 2 and raise your question. We will have a talk. We will go deeper into the research you did, into the role of an insurer and how to make like the complete industry more inclusive. So if there aren't any questions now, you really must post now. No?
No, I would keep them for your workshop this afternoon. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think you've got plenty of time to discuss then. But I think it's really valuable what you've been sharing this morning. So thank you for that already. So it's good food for thought. And it's nice to mix it up with some food for stomach, right?
Yeah. And bring a friend.
And bring a friend
with
to
a diverse
the
background,
session.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thank you.
Good idea. Let's give them a big hand, everyone. No, so thank you very much for joining. Indeed, please go to lunch, speed it up, and we'll see you back here at 1 p.m. And also the breakout sessions will start at 1 p.m. So please check out where you need to go.